Hello everyone, and welcome to the Blender Learning Series Advanced Blending session, where we are going to be doing the texturing for our two character models. And with that said, let's go ahead and dive into Blender. And get this switched over here. There we go. So we need to first open up those files. And we're going to do, we will do this one first. We need to get rid of these little spheres we put in there to make it easier to move things around when we were animating it. So we'll just select all of those parts and delete them. Now what we need to work with here, first off, is going to be making sure we're at frame 1. And we can hide the armature. And what we're going to want to do is mainly put one seam around each part. So if we tab in, and let's go into edge mode and just select some edges. On this, try to get one complete ring done, and then down to the next part. And we'll carry it around. Same on the other one. And same thing with these up here. And another way we could be doing this is to go into wireframe. Oh, just realized there's no screencast. Sorry about that. But by this point you should know how to do most of this already. But the other way we can select things is like I just did there, with the box select around those specific edges we want selected. So there we have that. That's all of our spheres. Let's add an edge in on the cylinders. It looks like I need to cap some things, doesn't it? No problem on that. Not that hard of a thing to do. It just needs to be done is all. And we're going to do 2 edge loops on this top one. Or on the head. So that's what we have. Now we can come over to shading and UVs on the left, and we want to mark the edges that we've selected as seams. So we click on Mark Seam, and we can see they get a little red outline. Now let's tend to this. And same over here. Hide everything else. And we're just going to put the faces in. And everything will look right in the animation regardless, because we're not basing it off of the geometry that's present when we put the skeleton in. So we can add or take away so long as the basic structure is still the same. See? Everything looks fine. You can run through and everything stays the way it should. So we're going to add in a seam around each of these just to make it easier. When we're unwrapping it. So now we want to unwrap it. First thing we need to do is split this viewport. So we'll split the area. Gives us one over here that's identical. If we come down here to the little selector box, we can choose UV image editor, and that's what we want. And now over here on the left, under UVs, we can tell it to unwrap, and we want a simple unwrap, and we get this. Now what we want to do is begin lining these pieces up with each other. So one way to do that is using this tool, which keeps everything in sync, meaning whatever is selected over here is also selected over here. Using this method, we can select some vertices here and faces, and it'll show us the associated part on the actual model. Let's go ahead and get that selected, and now we need the top, which is going to be this little piece. So we can select that, and now we can pull them off like so. And now to layer them like I'm usually doing, we need to select everything over here, because if we don't and we turn the sync off, everything goes away over here, which we can get back by selecting everything, so it's really no big deal. Just depends on how you want to do it. So we can align these up on top of each other. Right, like that. And now let's get the other one over here and turn sync on. And let's do it this way this time. Because now we need to look for the two that have selected bits over here. And this tells us which they are. So now we just need to select the rest of them. There's that one, and then this one. And this is why I like the sync method, because it allows you to differentiate between similar objects in the UV editor. For instance, these for the knee joints look like exactly the same as these for the elbows, and you'd be lining up the wrong ones. So it's useful to have a way to know for sure that you're getting it right. And there's the problem we run into with sync mode. Which is why we have to move the entire thing clear of everything else before we deselect and leave sync mode. Because if we try to move one part of this, it'll affect the other. Which I will demonstrate again. So watch the part down here as I just move this portion up here. Move it around, you can see that's not looking right down below. And it's because there's a connected edge, or an edge in common between the two. And with the selection sync option enabled, it's going to show that on both sides. So that's why we have to have it turned off to be able to move our individual UV pieces around. Alright, so there we have all of the parts of the knees. So we'll pin those. Next up, let's do the lower legs. And we can select one on each. And if we go down to select and choose edge rings, it'll select the rest of the edges there. And now we come over to the vertice select mode that shows us exactly which ones over here in the UV editor. We can select them. And over in the main editor, deselect everything and reselect it. Now we have our two lower legs. So let's just line those up somewhat. We don't have to be exact here, but do want it close. There we go. Now we can go ahead and pin these. Now for the next part, going down, I believe, we'll do the feet. So we got those. And now we see exactly which ones we need over here. It's going to be this set. And this set. Make sure everything is selected and line it up with the other one. So there we go. And get it moved up into place. Pin it. And now the bottoms are their own set of UV sections. So we need to get those as well. And there we go. So we select the one and just bring it straight down. Now we're going to select everything there and over on the model so we can see where everything is. Pin that into place, and now for the next part going up. I should have started at the feet. I readily admit that. So get two edges selected there. Can I do edge rings, and vertices select. And that shows us the two sections here. Looks like there's just one big section, but if you get in close enough, you can see it actually is two. And once we get them selected and moved, we will have done another portion. So we're gonna show everything and move it up, pin it. And now for the whatever you would call this, hips, lower torso, spherical bit at the end of the lower end of the body stick. On a real person, you would call this the waist area, but we're dealing with a stick person, so I don't really have a term for it. And now the main body stick. And it's just this one. Move that up into position and pin it. And now moving on along to the arms here. Get these selected. And there we go. And it gives us both the two cylinders and the end pieces there. Just slide this one down on the y-axis, like so. And now over here, slide this over on the x-axis. Now that we have them both, we can kind of orient them and select them. Over in this side, we're going to hit the A button to deselect, and then the A button again to select everything. And now pull it up into our UV map grid and pin it. Let's make one little alteration by grabbing the end parts there and moving them up and over. Conservation of space is always a must. Alright, on to the next part, which is going to be, well, let's go back to this. Should be these. And that shows the other half. So good. Let's get everything selected here. And just slide it over. And should be this one for the other side. So there we go. Now we can go back to the way we were and join, line these all up. And we'll just put this one here, pin it. And onto the last 3 parts. We got this. And when you get to this level where everything looks different, you can safely just eyeball it. These should go together, they look the same. These two should go together, they look the same, and the last 2 go together because, again, they look the same. It's just when you got multiple shapes that look very close, if not identical, that you want to have some way of ensuring that you're getting the right part. Just pull this down into place. Grab everything. Drag it up and pin it. And that's how we do our UV map for the first character. Let's go ahead and export the UV layout. And that name looks fine to me. Want to make sure all UVs are selected down here, so it's going to do all the UVs and not give us problems. And save it or export it. And we're going to call that it for now. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was kind of fast, but again, if you've been following along with these Blender Learning videos, you will already have a fair amount of knowledge on how to do things. And that's why I'm not really stressing the finer points. Just hit the project and get it done. So, and if you're new to this, there is a whole 2 sections that we've done before this that'll get you caught up to speed. That's all for this session of Polygonal Art with JoRaSe. If you enjoyed what you saw, how about giving this video a thumbs up? And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos from me. In the video description below, you'll find my Patreon link. Feel free to check it out. Now, on to the credits.